1. Let me tell you about this interesting 1973 Chevy C30 I found on Craigslist for $3,000. This is one of those classic workhorses that really catches your eye. A one-ton dually with some serious potential. The seller has done quite a bit of work on this old-school truck, and I've got to say, for a 50-year-old vehicle, the list of new parts is pretty impressive. We're talking a brand-new quadra-jet carburetor, fresh gas tank, new fuel pump, ignition wires, spark plugs, and even a new master cylinder. Basically, a lot of the crucial mechanical components have been refreshed. What's really cool is that it's got the original 8-cylinder engine paired with a 4-speed manual transmission. That's the kind of authentic driving experience we all love. The power steering and power brakes are definitely welcome features on a truck this size. One thing to note honestly, the odometer is broken, so we can't know the true mileage, but hey, that's pretty common for vehicles of this vintage. The storage compartments are all functional with working doors, hinges, and locks, which is actually pretty rare for these old trucks. They usually get pretty worn out over time. It comes with a clean title, and they're even throwing in spare tires, rims, and a jack. That's always a nice bonus. For $3,000, considering the current market and all the new parts, this could be a really interesting project for someone looking for a classic C30. Just remember, it's still a 50-year-old truck, so expect some old vehicle quirks, but that's part of the charm with these vintage workhorses. What do you guys think about this one? Would you take on this piece of American truck history? 2. We're looking at a really sweet 1982 Chevy Silverado that's popped up on Craigslist for $21,500. And let me tell you, this isn't your average square body. This truck has clearly been someone's pride and joy, and the investment shows. We're talking about a short bed 4x4 that's had pretty much everything either replaced or rebuilt. Let's get excited about what we're looking at here. A fresh crate engine, rebuilt transmission, new gears, new axles, and the seller's got the receipts to prove it. That's always a good sign. Plus new tires and a complete suspension overhaul. The exhaust system is new, and they've added a spray-on bed liner, which is great for protection. What's really impressive is that this truck has zero rust. That's incredibly rare for a 40-year-old vehicle. The comfort features are all there too. Power windows, cruise control, and working AC, which makes this classic truck actually practical for daily use. The seller mentions having over $10,000 in receipts, and honestly, looking at all the work done, that's totally believable. It just passed smog testing with a certification good until 2025, which is a huge plus in states with strict emissions laws. At $21,500, while it might seem steep to some, you're getting a completely sorted-out classic 4x4 that's ready to roll. With the current market for clean square bodies and all the mechanical refreshing that's been done, the price actually makes sense. This isn't just a preserved truck. It's been thoroughly modernized while keeping its classic charm. 3. Let's talk about this gorgeous 1970 Chevy C20 that's up for grabs at $19,000. This is one of those classic 3-4-ton workhorses that's been given some serious love and attention. And I've got to tell you, I'm pretty excited about this one. The heart of this beauty is a rebuilt 350 cubic inch V8 pushing out 255 horsepower, paired with a proper 4-speed manual transmission. Now that's the kind of authentic classic truck experience we all dream about. The dual pipes must make this thing sound amazing. The seller mentions they've put $7,000 into maintenance updates, which shows they're serious about keeping this truck in good shape. Plus, it comes with the original instruction manual. That's a rare find for a 50-year-old truck. What's really interesting is the odometer showing 34,784 miles, though with vehicles this age, we always have to take mileage readings with a grain of salt. The truck's sporting new tires, and according to the seller, it's completely road-ready with a tow package included. They're honest about it having some vintage beauty marks, which is a nice way of saying it's got the character you'd expect from a truck of this era. At $19,000, we're in the territory of well-preserved classics, and considering the rebuilt engine, recent maintenance, and overall condition, it seems like a fair ask in today's market. This isn't just a showpiece. It's described as a comfortable rider that's ready for actual work, whether you're hauling Christmas trees, camping gear, or using it for work. 4. Let's check out this interesting 1980 Chevy Suburban I found listed for $7,400 in Rialto. Now, this is one of those classic two-door Suburbans that you just don't see every day. And in tan, it's got that perfect period-correct vibe going on. Let's be real with the mileage situation. The seller notes 72,109 miles with an odometer rollover. So we're looking at 109 plus actual miles, which is pretty typical for these old workhorses. Under the hood, you've got the reliable 350 V8 engine paired with a 700 R4 automatic transmission. That's actually a nice combo for both cruising and hauling. The 3.42 gear ratio is a good middle ground for decent highway driving while still maintaining some pulling power. The seller's using it as a daily driver, which is always a good sign. It means the truck is actually roadworthy and not just a pretty paperweight. They've kept up with registration, tags good until 2026, and it's sporting a clean title. The body's described as straight, which is becoming harder to find on these old Suburbans, and the tires have good tread left. At $7,400, considering the current market for classic Suburbans, especially the less common two-door models, the price isn't outrageous. Sure, it's got its share of miles, but these old Chevys were built to last. For someone looking for a unique piece of American automotive history that they can actually use, this could be a pretty cool find. What do you all think about this classic hauler? Would you daily drive this piece of Chevy history? 5. We're checking out something really special. A 1982 Chevy tow truck with a Vulcan 865 wheel lift that's up for grabs at $10,000. This isn't your everyday find on Craigslist, folks. And for anyone in the towing business or collectors of unique commercial vehicles, this might be worth getting excited about. Let's dive into what makes this rig interesting. It's running a 350 cubic inch engine with a fresh carburetor and intake, paired with the legendary SM465 4-speed manual transmission, which is known for being practically bulletproof. The seller's done some serious maintenance work here. We're talking new ball joints, tie rods, radiator, and a fresh 65-foot winch cable. They've even upgraded the light bar with new halogen bulbs, which is crucial for towing work. What's really cool is that this truck's been modified with a 3-inch front lowering job and realigned. Plus, it's riding on new LT 245/75 R16 tires. The Vulcan 865 wheel lift is a legendary piece of equipment from the 80s, and this one's reportedly in very good condition. Perfect for damage-free towing. The fact that everything's working, including the electric choke and parking brake, is a big plus. Now, being honest here, there are a few things to note. The odometer has rolled over, pretty common for these work trucks. It's missing the crossbars for the dollies, and while the AC parts and compressor are included, they're not installed. But hey, for $10,000 you're getting a turnkey ready tow truck with some serious upgrades and maintenance already done. 6. We're looking at something really special. A 1969 Ford F-250 Camper Special that's listed for $25,000. And this isn't your ordinary classic Ford truck. What makes this one particularly interesting is the turbocharged 4.9L inline-6 engine. That's a really unique modification you don't see every day on these classics. This is a Camper Special Edition, which means it came from the factory beefed up for heavy-duty use. And what's really cool is how they've maintained the classic look while adding some modern muscle under the hood. The turbo addition to the reliable Ford inline-6 is an interesting twist that probably wakes this old workhorse up quite nicely. It's paired with a 4-speed manual transmission, giving you that authentic classic truck driving experience that we all love. The odometer shows 63,928 miles, though as with any classic vehicle, we should take that number with a grain of salt. The green paint gives it that perfect period-correct look, and being a 4X2 model, it's got that classic stance that these old Fords are known for. At $25,000, we're definitely in the territory of well-preserved classics, and while that might seem steep to some, consider what you're getting. A Camper Special F-250, which are becoming increasingly collectible, with a unique turbo setup. It's being sold through a dealership in Colorado, which might explain the premium price point. But for someone looking for a classic Ford truck with a bit more punch than usual, this could be a really interesting find. 7. We're checking out a pretty sweet 1966 Chevrolet El Camino that's listed for $25,000. And I've got to say, this one's got some interesting details worth talking about. The highlight of this beauty is its 396 big block V8 engine, which the seller mentions is new with just 5,364 miles on it. Now that's a serious power plant for these El Caminos, and it's exactly what you want in one of these classic car trucks. It's paired with an automatic transmission, which makes it a comfortable cruiser. The seller mentions it's got some nice custom extras, though they're not specifically detailed. That's something you definitely want to ask about when viewing the car. The car presents in red, and according to the listing, it's in excellent condition. Being a 66, this El Camino benefits from that gorgeous second-generation styling that borrowed heavily from the Chevelle, giving it those clean, flowing lines that make these vehicles so desirable today. At $25,000, we're definitely in serious collector territory, but with a fresh 396 engine and excellent condition, it could be justified in today's market. However, I'd strongly recommend seeing those custom extras in person and getting a detailed history of the build before making any decisions. 8. Let's talk about this 1978 Chevy Silverado that's popped up for $2,700, and I'm going to keep it real with you about what we're looking at here. This is definitely what we'd call a survivor truck. The seller's being upfront about its condition, listing it as fair, and making it clear this is an as-is situation. Under the hood, you've got the classic 350 V8 paired with an automatic transmission, a reliable combination that's been keeping these trucks running for decades. The odometer shows 23,000 miles, but with the noted rollover, we're looking at 123,000 plus miles, which is pretty typical for these old workhorses. Now at $2,700, let's be honest about what you're getting. This isn't a show truck or a fully restored beauty. It's a running and driving classic Chevy that probably needs some TLC, but that's reflected in the price. For someone looking for a project truck or a classic daily driver that they can gradually improve, this could be an interesting starting point. These square-body Chevys have a huge following and parts are readily available. The seller's straightforward approach about the truck's condition is actually refreshing. They're not trying to oversell it, just offering a classic Chevy at a reasonable entry-level price. What do you think, folks? Would you take on this old square body as a project? For the price of a decent used appliance, you could be driving a piece of American truck history. 9. Let's check out this 1977 Ford F-150 that's up for grabs at $13,000. This is one of those classic 4x4s that's got some real character to it. And being a California truck originally, that usually means better preservation than trucks from rust-prone regions. Under the hood, we've got the robust 351 V8 paired with a 4-speed manual transmission. That's a fantastic combination that gives you both power and control, especially for off-road adventures. The 4x4 system makes this a capable machine, both on and off the pavement. With 65,000 miles showing on the odometer, while not incredibly low for a 46-year-old truck, it's not too bad either. The seller's been honest about the paint having some fading, which is pretty typical for these old Fords, especially if it's been sitting in the California sun. What's encouraging is that they've owned it for 7 years, so they likely know the truck's quirks and characteristics well. At $13,000, we're in the territory of well-maintained classic trucks, and considering the current market for vintage 4x4s, especially Ford F-Series from this era, the price isn't out of line. These late 70s F-150s are becoming increasingly popular among collectors and enthusiasts, particularly the 4x4 models with manual transmissions. 10. Let me tell you about this absolutely rad 1979 Chevy Silverado I just came across on Craigslist. This isn't your average 79. We're looking at something pretty special here. For $11,000, you're getting a seriously cool custom build that combines classic style with some thoughtful modifications. The seller's done their homework here. We're talking about a GM Goodwrench 350 V8 with only about 10K miles on it, paired with a freshly remanufactured TH 350 automatic transmission. That's a reliable powertrain combo right there. What really catches my eye is the unique styling. Those J.C. Whitney 70s rear adapters and GM fenders give it this wicked single-cab dually look, but without the typical downsides of a dually's harsh ride and thirsty fuel consumption. The suspension's been completely redone with drop spindles and a rear axle flip, which means this truck sits just right. The attention to detail is impressive. We're talking about a powder-coated frame, completely new seat with fresh foam and upholstery, new rubber mat, door cards, and dash. They've even added some modern touches like wireless solar cab lights and a clever floor-mounted center console cooler with cup holders. With 66,234 miles on the clock and a clean title, this Silverado has been well maintained and serves as the seller's daily driver. From what I can see in the description, everything's in good condition, and the seller seems genuinely enthusiastic about the truck they've built. 11. Let's talk about this eye-catching 1984 GMC K2500 that's currently listed for $17,900. Now, I've got to be straight with you. This is a pretty hefty price for an 84, but let's look at what we're getting here. This K2500 is rocking a 5.7L engine. That's the trusty 350 V8, paired with an automatic transmission. And what really stands out is that it's kept its all-original GM steel that's becoming increasingly rare for these old trucks. With 95,000 miles on the clock, it's actually quite low mileage for a truck of this age, and the seller claims it's in like-new condition. The modifications are pretty substantial. You're looking at a 7-inch lift, which gives it that commanding presence, and it's topped off with a custom-built flatbed. That's a setup that could be really practical for work or play. However, I've got to keep it real with you. While $17,900 is on the higher end for an 84 GMC, the low mileage and claimed condition might justify it for the right buyer. The description is pretty brief, which makes me wish we knew more about the maintenance history and the details of the custom work. If you're in the market for a classic 4x4 with presence and you appreciate original GM steel, this could be worth checking out. Just make sure to inspect everything thoroughly given the age and modifications. These K2500s are known for their durability, and with proper maintenance, they can run forever. 12. Let me tell you about this sweet 1972 Chevy C10 that's caught my eye on Craigslist for $16,000. This isn't just any old work truck. We're looking at a seriously clean build that combines classic charm with modern touches. Under the hood, you've got the legendary 350 V8 paired with an automatic transmission, a combination that's proven itself time and time again in these trucks. But what really sets this C10 apart is its presentation. That gorgeous blue exterior paint job looks stunning, and they've matched it with a custom white and blue interior that really ties the whole look together. They've modernized this classic with some thoughtful upgrades. We're talking 22-inch forged wheels, which must look absolutely killer on this body style, power steering, and power disc brakes. That GT steering wheel adds a sporty touch to the cabin, and the dual exhaust system probably gives this truck a nice, healthy rumble. Now, being a dealer listing from PAMI Motors, you're getting a professionally presented vehicle. But remember, they're selling it as is, so you'll want to do your due diligence. The price point at $16K is in the ballpark for a well-maintained C10 with these kinds of upgrades, especially given the current classic truck market. What makes this particular C10 interesting is how they've balanced the classic look with modern amenities. Those custom lights and big wheels give it street presence, while maintaining that timeless 72 C10 silhouette that everyone loves. 13. Let me tell you about this interesting 1977 Dodge Power Wagon W150 that's up for grabs at $3,900. I've got to keep it real with you. This one's a project, but it could be a real gem for the right person. Let's start with the good stuff. You're looking at a California truck, which is huge because it means you're getting a solid, rust-free body. That's like striking gold with these old trucks. It's got the beefy 360 V8 engine, which is a strong, reliable power plant, paired with an automatic transmission. The 4x4 components are reportedly working, and with only 19,770 miles showing on the odometer, though you'll want to verify if that's original, there's potential here. Now let's be honest about the challenges. This truck isn't ready to hit the road just yet. The seller's upfront about the brake work needed, and while it starts and idles, you'll need to sort out those brakes before it's roadworthy. At $3,900, you're getting a complete truck that needs some TLC, but these power wagons are becoming increasingly desirable. The price seems fair considering it's a solid California truck with a clean title, even with the needed brake work. For someone who's handy with tools and looking for a classic 4x4 project that won't break the bank, this could be a great opportunity. These old power wagons have a strong following, and once sorted out, they make fantastic vintage trucks with tons of character. 14. Let's talk about this fascinating 1969 Chevy C10 that's up for grabs at $10,500. This one's pretty special because it's a true survivor. We're talking about a one-owner truck with its original paint still intact. Let's be honest about what we're looking at here. It's a long bed model powered by the straight-six engine, not the more common V8, paired with a 3-speed manual transmission. While some might see the 6-cylinder as a downside, these engines are actually known for their reliability and decent fuel economy for the era. What really catches my attention is the maintenance that's been done. New wheel cylinders, brakes, and master cylinder. That's important safety work that's already taken care of for the next owner. With 98,000 original miles, this truck has been used but not abused, and the seller notes it has a straight body and runs well. The power steering is a nice feature that makes this classic much more manageable in daily use. Being a one-owner vehicle with original paint really adds to its authenticity and collector value. These unmolested original trucks are getting harder to find. At $10,500, you're paying for originality and history here. While you could find modified C10s for similar money, this one's value lies in its preserved state and documented ownership history. For someone looking for an authentic piece of Chevy truck history, this could be a solid investment. 15. Let's talk about this 1963 Chevy C10 that's listed for $18,000. Now, I've got to be straight with you about this one. It's got some interesting aspects, but also needs some attention. The heart of this truck is a 350 V8 pushing around 300 horsepower, paired with a 350 transmission that's been upgraded with a shift kit. That's a solid powertrain combo that should make this C10 pretty peppy. With 80,000 miles on the clock and wearing what appears to be an orange paint job, it's definitely got presence. But let's be real about what needs work here. The AC isn't functioning and needs repair, and the bedwood needs replacement. These aren't deal breakers, but they're jobs you'll need to factor into your budget beyond that $18,000 asking price. The seller's pretty direct with their "I don't need help" selling statement, which suggests they're firm on the price. For an early 60s C10, $18K is getting up there, especially with the known issues. However, these first-gen C10s have become seriously collectible, and if the overall condition and build quality are solid, it might be worth considering. This could be a great truck for someone who wants a classic C10 with some modern muscle under the hood, and doesn't mind tackling a couple of projects to make it perfect. Just make sure to inspect everything thoroughly, particularly the quality of the 350 engine installation and that transmission setup. 16. Let me tell you about this interesting 1983 GMC Sierra K1500 project that's up for $6,000. I've got to be completely honest with you. This is definitely a project truck that needs some serious attention. Let's start with the elephant in the room. This truck hasn't run in about 10 years. It's been sitting, and as any gearhead knows, sitting is never good for vehicles. But here's where it gets interesting. Under the hood, you're getting a 454 big block Chevy with hooker headers. That's some serious muscle potential right there. The seller's being pretty upfront about the condition. This is a rolling chassis that's not currently running or driving. You'll need a trailer to get it home, and there's no test driving happening here. It's a bare-bones truck with manual windows and locks, no AC, and while it has BF Goodrich all-terrain tires on GM rally wheels with good tread, they're old from sitting. Now, $6,000 firm for a non-running square body might seem steep, but here's the thing. These trucks are getting harder to find, especially with a big block 454 already in place. It's got clean Minnesota collector plates and a clear title, which is always good news. This is a true enthusiast's project, perfect for someone who wants to resurrect a classic square body with some serious power potential. Just remember, you're buying a project that needs work, not a running truck. Factor in the cost of getting that 454 running again, likely a full fluid change, brake system overhaul, and all the typical revival needs for a long-sitting vehicle. 17. Let's talk about this 1980 Chevy El Camino that's up for grabs at $7,500. I've got to be straight with you. The seller's description is pretty bare bones, but let's break down what we know about this unique car-truck hybrid. We're looking at a V6-powered El Camino with 64,000 miles on the clock, wearing what's described as an orange paint job. The seller mentions it's got a rebuilt V6 engine and good tiers. They mean tires. And it comes with a clean title. Now, being completely honest, $7,500 for a V6 El Camino from 1980 is in the middle range of the market. While these aren't the more desirable V8 models, the rebuilt engine is definitely a plus. However, the super brief description leaves a lot of questions unanswered about the overall condition, maintenance history, and whether everything's working as it should. El Caminos from this era are interesting vehicles. They offer the comfort of a car with pickup truck utility, and they've got a unique style that's really gaining appreciation among collectors. The 80 model year represents the more fuel-efficient direction GM was taking during that period. If you're interested in this one, you'll definitely want to inspect it thoroughly in person. Ask about the rebuild details, check for any rust, especially in the bed and around the wheel wells, and make sure all the electrical systems are functioning properly. 18. Let me tell you about this absolutely killer 1984 Dodge Ram W250 Royal SE that's up for $15,000. This isn't your average 84 Ram. We're looking at a seriously well-built machine here. Let's start with the heart of this beast. A 408 CI Blueprint stroker engine pushing about 400 GP, paired with a built 727 torque flight transmission. The engine setup is impressive. Edelbrock 750 CFM carb, MSD ignition system, hooker headers, and Flowmaster duals. They've even added a Hughes 2,500 revolutions per minute stall converter and a heavy-duty transmission rebuild with a shift kit. The stance is mean with a 4-inch suspension lift, plus a 3-inch body lift, sitting on 35-inch Falcon Wild Peak MTs wrapped around 20 X12 RBP wheels. The running gear is solid. Dana 44 front, Dana 60 rear with 4.10 gears and worn locking hubs. Now the seller's being incredibly honest about the truck's condition. The body's straight, 9/10, but the 20-year-old paint is showing its age, 7/10, with some clear coat peeling on the dark blue upper half. The interior's solid, 8/10, with the fancy Royal SE package, though there are some minor issues like a non-working dome light and gas gauge. At $15,000, considering the built drivetrain, quality components, and overall condition, it's actually pretty fair in today's market. You're getting a seriously capable truck that's been thoughtfully modified and maintained. Plus, it comes with boxes of extra parts and the original paint. 19. Let's talk about this 1981 Chevrolet K10 that's up for sale on Craigslist. First off, the price tag of $10,000 might seem a bit steep for a 45-year-old truck, but hear me out. This isn't your average beat-up old pickup. It's got some serious upgrades under the hood and in the suspension department. Now, the seller mentions that the truck is in good condition, but let's be real, it's still an old vehicle. There are some scratches, dings, and small dents, but the rust is minimal, which is a big plus. The body is straight and the cab, fenders, frame, and rockers are all solid. That's a good sign for a truck this age. Moving on to the interior, it's in typical condition for a vehicle of this vintage. It's usable as is, but it's definitely showing its age. The seller suggests throwing on a new seat cover and rocking it, which is a fair assessment. Under the hood, this K10 is packing some heat. It's got a fuel-injected 454 CI big block Vortec engine, which is a beast. The transmission is a sturdy TH400 and the transfer case is an NP208. The truck sits on a lifted 3/4-ton suspension with new Bilstein shocks and rides on 37-inch Dick Cepek tires wrapped around 17-inch Pro Comp wheels. No 20. We're taking a look at a 1973 Chevy El Camino that's up for grabs on Craigslist. With an asking price of $8,800, this classic pickup car hybrid might just be the sweet ride you've been searching for. Now the seller mentions that this El Camino is a sweet survivor, and I've got to agree. It's not every day you come across a vehicle that's almost 50 years old and still running strong. The owners had plans to make this their project car, but with too many Broncos on their plate, they've decided to let this beauty go. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 8-cylinder engine that's ready to rumble. The seller has given this old girl some love, with new tires, a tune-up, fresh fluids, and new filters. So you can rest assured that it runs and drives well. One of the standout features of this El Camino is the rare factory topper, which adds both style and functionality to the vehicle. And if you're a fan of creature comforts, you'll be pleased to know that it also comes with factory air conditioning, a real bonus for a car of this age. Now let's talk about the condition. The seller rates it as good, but it's important to remember that this is a subjective term. From the description, it sounds like the El Camino could use a little more bodywork and a fresh coat of paint to really make it shine. But hey, that's all part of the fun of owning a classic car, right? The odometer reads 164,000 miles, which is not surprising for a vehicle that's been around for nearly 5 decades. But with proper care and maintenance, there's no reason this El Camino can't keep on cruising for many more miles to come.